Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Storytime with Auntie Amos. This week, I want to kind of discuss how my parents' marriage and their divorce ultimately influenced my ideals of what marriage was supposed to be like, how the roles of husband and wife. So, my mom was a stay-at-home mother. She every now and then we'll get like little part-time jobs as a substitute teacher that, may make her work 1 or 2 days a week, but nothing permanent. So she was the one who did all the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of me. She kept the house together. Then my father was a barber and he worked like 12-hour days, like really more than that. I'm just saying the barbershop will be open for 12 hours, but he would be there early and be the one to stay late. And he was only off Sunday and Monday. So for the most part, when I was at home, it was with her. Like I did get to spend weekends with him or whatever, but for the most part, um, mom was the homemaker. She was the one getting it done. And so when they divorced and I ultimately grew up and got married, I had this idea in my head that as a wife, it was my responsibility to be a homemaker. It was my responsibility to do all the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, um, just taking care of everything home related, and that my husband was supposed to be the provider. But the funny thing about that is, you make a plan and God laughs because my first husband was not a provider. So after my daughter was born, he lost his job and I ended up being the one that was the sole provider. And even before that, I was making more money than he was. And I don't know what it is about me, but in my mind, I thought that because I made more money, that it was only fair that I would contribute more financially to the bills. So that's what I did. I contributed more to the bills because I made more money. And so we weren't going 50-50. I see a lot of debates about people going half. We weren't going half. I was paying more because I paid more, but I also was doing all this work and in the house. And I think what ultimately happened is that I grew a lot of resentment towards him and it's my own fault because these are not things that he asked me to do. I felt like I was supposed to be superwoman. I felt like I was supposed to be able to do it all. You hear this that you can work and do all these things, and I thought I was supposed to do all those things. So after my daughter came and he wasn't working and I was, and he wasn't cooking, wasn't cleaning, wasn't doing anything. So I'm like literally going to work and then coming home and being super mom, super wife. I definitely um, became very resentful. I felt unappreciated. I felt overwhelmed, and I ended up um, like losing respect for him in a matter of speaking. Like the respect that I had for him as my husband initially, that was no more, and it changed in the way I spoke to him. So that our marriage ended up ending because of a domestic violence incident. And I'm not taking responsibility for it. I'm not saying it was my fault. I'm not saying that I provoked him, but I definitely can take accountability and say that I spoke to him in a very belittling manner that ultimately he was violent with me. I don't condone that in any way, but like I said, it's two sides to every story, and I can admit that I was wrong in how I spoke to him. But once you put your hands on a woman, like once you are unable to show restraint for whatever she has done, whether she talked crazy to you, whether she cheated, whether she just took a breath the wrong way, whatever it is, if you can't show the restraint, there's no longer a safe place for her. And my parents' marriage ended because of domestic violence. My father was abusive to my mother, and even though um, if I'm remembering correctly, he was the one who filed. I'm really not sure who filed, but we ended up leaving the home because of him being abusive. So once I had my daughter and I had to go through that, it only took one time for me to say, no, I'm not going to do this. But what I can say is that my ideals of how marriage was supposed to be that I got from my parents is what, kind of put me in the mindset of thinking it's almost like I took the best of both of my parents. Like I took my mom being the homemaker and doing all those things, and I took my dad being the provider, and I combined them to make myself this ultimate superwoman that was really an ideal that I couldn't live up to. So I learned from that, and then I learned that ultimately in any marriage, it is a partnership. And I'm not going to say it's 50-50 because one day I might be 80 and my husband might be 20 and vice versa. It's not always 50-50, but it is always a partnership. And my current marriage is so unlike my first marriage because although I still went into it believing that I was supposed to be this superwoman, my husband quickly showed me that he was Superman. So he was able to do some of the cooking, do some of the cleaning, do some of the, taking care of the kids. It was such a different experience than what I saw of my father and what I saw in my first marriage. So I don't really have anything to kind of tie this story to a legal process. But what I hope it does is gives anyone in this type of situation hope that you can ultimately find a partner that is a true partner. And if you have that, great, more power to you. I love it. But if you don't have it or you're experiencing any type of domestic violence situation, again, once a man puts his hands on you, or if you're a man and a woman puts her hands on you, once you're unable to show any level of restraint, or once your partner is able to show any level of restraint, that's no longer a safe place for you. I have yet to see a man or a woman be able to put their hands on somebody one time and then say it'll never happen again, and it never happens again. It almost always happens again. And so I wish you all the best of luck. I hope that this story was able to motivate anybody in that type of situation. And again, I'll see you guys next week. And I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye.